For all those asking about the lift on the big green Trevolo, so back here on the rear of the front shackle, I got I think it's a Rusty's Fab or something joint I bought originally for my Bronco and never did it. But I adapted it for this. Then it's a modified pack, a 2-wheel drive international pack with, I think, some Chevy Love rear leaf springs. Yeah, because the lower overload pad is Chevy Love. So I have extra weight support up front. Up front, we got my lift bracket, 1/4-inch plate, boxed, bumper bolts to the outside of it. Come around, 6-inch by 2-inch box full of concrete. Come around, get under here, 1/4-inch plate everywhere. The frame, on the top of the front of the frame, it runs across with 1/4-inch plate, and then on the bottom of the frame, it runs 1/4-inch plate. Then I got a crossover bar for support for the steering box. Everything's 1/4-inch plate on the bottom. I think there's 20-something bolts that hold it on. And I did that because I'm building a snowplow mount and a front wrecker crane for it. It mounts A-frame or wrecker frame that ties in on the lift, the D-ring eyelets, comes up so I can get an uplift angle. Gonna have arms that bolt. So I got all these 2 extra holes, and I actually moved it down from where I had it last. But I got this whole front plate and this. I'm gonna put tractor implement mounts and build me some long arms that can come out. Then the winch will mount here out of the receiver and run the cable up and then down off the pulley to lift up, to lift my snowplow up. So the snowplow mount low, along with the snowplow will have the arms that mount low. Then the A-frame, it'll still be able to lift up high, and I can actually pull right up with that. I can actually pull right up to a rig that's got the eyelets on the front and put pins through those and lift the whole front end up off the bump with the bumper and back it out of where it needs to be. And that's all going to be removable. And I'm do even bigger one off the back, so I can pick up even more off the back, because the back, come around to the back, get up under here. Here's my rear one, completely fabricated. Then back here, this is fabricated. I think these need to be a little bit longer. Right now they do twist, but I want to build them a little bit heavier. But it's just a simple plate that drops it down, and I need to get in here and do the cross member that goes to it. Single lift block. I welded the lift block on the wrong angle, so now I have, so before I did my transfer case mod, I bought 2 shims to get my pinion angle right. So it's got 2 shims now. It's what I thought was a GM 14 bolt, but turns out it's a 14 bolt 9.5 instead of 10.5. But they crawl underneath these traction bars. I put traction bars on it because I didn't want it hopping. But it has a new process 201 transfer case that I modified. I took 2 of them. Took one out of my cousin's yellow 58 and replaced it with a 205. Then we put a 392 and a truck 5-speed in it. Or no, we put the 392 and the 5-speed that was out of this originally, factory overdrive 5-speed. Took it out, and because he had a handbrake off the back of the transfer case, I put a 2-ton handbrake on the back of that 5-speed and kept everything looking original inside. But I modified this transfer case. See if anybody can see it. There's the original output, and I just couldn't get pinion angle right without lifting the rear end way up or cutting pads off and changing them. And even then, it was still too tight. When it dropped out, it just bounced. So, e-brake goes here off the original bracket. I took the center section out of another one that I had in a 54? 53. Might be wrong on that. Modified the front shaft. I think I have a video of that. I just put it all together without anything on the front and put an electric drill on the back of it and spun it, and then used a cutoff wheel on a grinder and used a grinder and a pair of dial calipers to get it right. So it went in. Let's see if I can get it. There we get it good. It went in. So now I have 2 outputs on the rear, like a 200, New Process 200. Still can run the PTO if I wanted to. E-brake will go here. I actually have plans in the future to remove the e-brake off of here. And mount a Tesla electric motor off the back of this thing. Got plenty of room back here. I can build a big old mount to hold the motor and then just run it straight into here, because these back 2 gears on the transfer case are engaged with each other all the time. They don't come on off engagement. So yeah, I'll make a gas hybrid, which should be kind of fun. Keep a AC motor for regenerative braking, and it would continuously charge as I'm driving. Then I could switch completely to electric. Thinking about some kind of PTO generator off the engine, so I can disconnect, just put the transfer case in neutral and power it from the rear only, and still run the engine on a generator. Still run the engine and use a generator. Put it at like 1500 RPM, just putting along and charge the batteries. Got plenty of room for the batteries up in here. Just gotta figure that out. Hi kids, you wanna say hi? My helpers. But other than that, it's just a cool little modification I did. Works really good too. Angle's still a little steep on the axle. Still a little steep. So I'm just gonna work on the rear hangers and bring them down. They're adjustable. I just did it and not feeling it now, like they're too weak. But the amount of flex it gets out of it's pretty good. I had to do traction bars. It just looks cool. If I keep them on here, it all depends. I like them. But the rear, you see the rear. It is definitely International Chevy Love hybrid, and I have 2 lower overloads inside of it. I don't remember exactly where this one's the Chevy Love one. This one I don't recall, but it can take a load. It can take some weight on the rear, and it rides pretty good. But it can take some serious weight, which is good because it is built to tow. I have a gooseneck, fifth wheel camp trailer that's 32 feet, but you can't put a fifth wheel on a travel, especially a lifted one. So think I'm gonna trade it in for like a 35-foot bumper pull and rock that. Factory blocks, new U-bolts. That's the lower pads off of a Chevy, 90 Chevy that I added the old shock mounts off of this axle too. So, and then my brake brackets, I got 2 of these front axles and robbed everything. So we went with the same brake pads and all that on the front as the rear. The rotors are different. They're actually a newer one, and I got the wrong ones. I was supposed to get a special year, and it said it was, and they weren't. They were the thinner ones, so I had to put spacers in the brake calipers for the pads. But it has the option for the e-brake on the inside. So if I do the Tesla thing, I can put the e-brake down here. I just gotta steal them off of a newer Chevy, and I gotta steal the brackets too. I gotta change all the brackets, but they're gonna work for now. Shock mount off the back here. I was gonna run dual shocks in the rear, but they covered up my fancy axle. So upper mount, it's not done. I got an upper plate to put in, along with that cross member that's going to hold air compressor tank. And I have a couple AC brackets that I think I can fit an air compressor, one of the big cast iron air compressors on. So I might put a good 10-gallon tank under here, maybe a 5-gallon that just rapid fills. And I think I can do something with an AC clutch, so I can hit a switch and it comes on, compresses, hit a switch, it shuts off. I think I can do something with that. Other than that, typical travel all rust. I have plans for it. This drive shaft ain't right, it's just close. I think it's an old Ford one with an international end. Actually, it's not the right one anyways. I got a big end with a reducer, an off-size U-joint, and then this end's just got a little one, but I gotta change that pad and go to the bigger ones. But I'd put it together with what I had, and it's technically not long enough. It bottoms out when full, bottoms out way before full droop. It's actually pretty out there right now. Same with the front. It's not long enough anymore. It's almost compressed right now, so I'm gonna work on that. Gotta figure out my speedo system. Still got a big hole right there. I gotta need a plug, because with this bracket you can't get the big long speedo. The other speedo set in it. So unless I come in here and notch this bracket, which I really don't want to do, I've actually lowered the transfer case too to try to fix that angle problem. Custom tube bracket right there on top of underneath the factory one. I lowered it, and then I thought about lowering it some more, but then I got jack shaft problems. And you can see the jack shaft got a funky angle to it. But the transfer case, it's twin stick now. It's pretty cool. I can actually set this to front dig. You put it in 4-wheel drive. You put it in low. Front stick all the way, first stick all the way forward, second stick all the way back, and it can do a front dig. Yeah, it's cool. Exhaust is not done. It's kind of just hanging right now until I get the side supports done. Both front and rear bumpers full of concrete. Rear bumper weighs about 600 pounds. The front bumper 450. I come in here, the side, and I got some 4x2 tubing I got, square tube, rectangular tubing, thick wall. I'm going to come out from right here, go out, and then do another chunk of that 2x6, and run the 2x6 all the way along this, and then I haven't figured out what I'm going to do right here, because it'll hang down below. 2x6 will. I'm going to come in with another one and make a rock slider, but it'll protect my body, because it'll all be full of concrete too. And good steel, so it'll protect the body from side impacts. I was thinking about putting this lower one on an angle so anything that hits it deflects it down, which I haven't got there yet. Almost done with the floors. It's a lot of weight, but I have 2 little kids that are going to be riding in this, and I'll suffer weight, extra weight, over suffering a wreck that could hurt them. Oh, that's what I heard, yeah, driving down the road. Oh no. Oh, tire killers. Tire sheet metal screws. Yeah, most of them fell on. Get all these picked up. I brought her over to the house, so if I suffer from my normal insomnia in the middle of the night, like 2, 3, and 4 in the morning, I can just go out with a flashlight and mess with the wiring. Worked on the doors for 6 hours, and they're not done yet, but that's pretty good. I need a lock cylinder for this one. Looks like it was gutted. Custom mirrors. See that? It has turn signal lights and run lights in it. And if I do the Tesla motor hybrid thing, got the perfect fender for it. Side tank fender with the Tesla charging port right here, with a chrome cover. It looks sick. Pretty good. Rear door needs a little more work, but it's almost there. I have a sunroof, one of those aftermarket sunroofs that I saved out of a rig. I'm debating it. I'm thinking about putting it in. If I can find another one, I'd put 2 in, one on each row of seats. But I also have the factory 3rd row for this bad boy, which is great, but kind of kills the cargo area. My biggest gripe with the Travelall, I have 2 big gripes with the Travelall that just annoy me to death. And I'll show you. Right here, that little area drives me absolutely bonkers. I have Dad's Travelall over here, which all the factory suspension stuff that I took off of this went on to his, because it hasn't had a front suspension or rear suspension on it. It hasn't had a front suspension on it since like 1995. It hasn't had a rear suspension on it since 2000 something, 2002. So I put it all back under. It's got axle front and rear, springs, no shocks yet. There's still some shock brackets because he took it off when I was a kid and put it on his blue truck. But we're going to take his Travelall because it's got the typical Travelall rot in the rear.